Welcome to the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery.
Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're diving into the art of asking questions. And for this one, we're looking at a book called Fragetechnik Schnelltrainiert.
Okay.
It's German for Questioning Techniques Quickly Trained.
Makes sense.
By Vera F. Birkenbihl. And it's packed with all kinds of practical strategies and techniques to help us become master questioners.
Right.
So today, we're going to try to equip you with some real conversational superpowers.
Absolutely.
You ready to level up your questioning skills?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for this one.
Me too. Me too.
Birkenbihl starts off with a really powerful idea. It's who asks leads.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
It's like taking control of the conversation.
Yeah, you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
The book actually suggests there's even more to it than just control. You know?
Right.
Like, it turns out that asking questions actually has, like, biological and psychological benefits. Yeah. It can help reduce stress.
That's amazing.
Foster respect, and even create, like, a more positive environment overall.
So it's not just about getting information.
No.
It's about, like,
Right.
creating a better dynamic for everyone.
Changes the whole feeling of the conversation.
Right.
Totally.
Now, speaking of creating a better dynamic, I think there was a story in the book about a young war veteran
Oh, yeah.
who refused to dance at a party.
Yes. And it's a great example of how jumping to conclusions without, you know, asking the right questions can lead to these super awkward and even hurtful situations.
Right.
Everyone just assumed he was shy, you know?
Right.
But it turns out he'd lost both his legs in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, that's a really powerful illustration of why assumptions can be so dangerous. It makes you think, like, how often have I missed an opportunity to really understand someone?
yeah,
Because I just didn't even think to ask the right questions.
exactly. And that brings us to, like, the core of what Birkenbihl teaches in this book.
Yeah.
You know?
Give it to me.
So she starts with the basics.
Okay.
Closed questions and open questions. Closed questions lead to those yes or no answers.
Right.
While open questions invite people to, like, give more detail.
Yes.
But she goes way beyond just defining those two types. She really digs into when and how to use them strategically.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to know the difference between open and closed.
Right.
But how do we actually wield them like a pro?
Exactly. And she gives us a really fascinating 3-step framework to do just that.
I'm all ears.
But the first step might surprise you.
What is it?
It all starts with riddles and games.
Games. I love it.
I know, right?
But how can playing games possibly make us better questioners?
Okay, so let me give you an example. There's this riddle in the book called The Man in the Elevator.
Okay.
Okay, so imagine this. A man lives on the 24th floor of a building.
Okay.
Every morning, he takes the elevator all the way down to go to work.
Right.
But when he comes home, he only takes the elevator to the 18th floor. And then he walks the rest of the way up.
Now, why would he do that?
Why would he do that?
I'm trying to figure this out.
Well, the answer is he's too short to reach the higher buttons.
Right.
So the point of riddles like this is to really highlight how important it is to question our assumptions.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's so easy to jump to conclusions based on limited information. But, you know, when we ask questions systematically, we actually uncover the truth.
Right. So we avoid those, like, mental shortcuts that we all tend to make. It's like a workout for our questioning muscles.
I love that. A workout for your questioning muscles.
Yeah.
And this leads us to step 2 of the framework,
Ooh.
which is the no avoidance strategy.
Okay. Now, this is something I think we can all relate to.
Right.
Nobody likes hearing no.
Absolutely.
But how do we master this no avoidance technique?
So it's all about framing your questions in a way that minimizes the chance of getting a negative response. And Birkenbihl actually uses a really interesting role-playing game
fun.
to illustrate this called the vacation sale.
Okay.
Okay, so in this game, the goal is to convince a client to book a specific vacation package.
Right.
But here's the twist.
Okay.
The client has all these hidden needs that the salespeople have to uncover.
Through their questions.
Through their questions.
Got it.
Right.
So it's not about just, like, bombarding them with all the information.
Right. No.
It's really about understanding what they want.
It's about understanding what the client wants.
Yes.
And then tailoring your approach accordingly.
It's like that saying, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about building that rapport.
Yeah.
That connection first.
Yeah. And even with the best techniques, though, I think we can all agree that sometimes you're still going to get a no.
Of course.
So that's where step 3 comes in.
Yes.
The no-loss negotiation method.
I like that.
Tell me everything.
So how do we navigate those inevitable no's?
Right. Yeah.
And even turn them into wins?
Yes.
Well, Birkenbihl uses a super simple but powerful example.
Okay.
Okay, so imagine this. A child asks their mom for ice cream.
Okay. I love these relatable examples.
Right.
They're so good.
So simple, but so good.
Yeah.
So the mom initially says no.
Okay.
But the child doesn't just give up.
Right.
They ask, why not?
Okay.
To try to understand the reasoning behind the no. And then they propose a solution.
Oh.
What if I eat all my lunch nicely afterwards? Right?
So smart.
So it's not about just accepting the no.
Right.
It's about understanding the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
And then offering an alternative.
And that's something we can all learn from.
Absolutely.
Even as adults.
Yes.
Right.
So smart.
That's brilliant.
It is.
Okay, so we've got the basics of question types, this really awesome 3-step framework.
Right.
But you mentioned something earlier about open and closed questions. You said that while open questions are generally preferred, there are certain situations where closed questions are actually more effective.
Yes, exactly.
So when would that be?
Okay, so while open questions are fantastic for exploration and deep understanding.
Yeah.
Closed questions have their place too.
Okay.
Especially when you need to be more direct.
Right.
Or gather specific information quickly.
Makes sense.
Like, think about a doctor using closed questions to diagnose a patient.
Okay.
It's about efficiency.
Gotcha.
And precision.
All right. Are there any other situations where closed questions might be a better choice?
Yeah. So imagine trying to get key information from someone who just loves to talk.
Okay, the chatterbox.
A chatterbox.
Yes. Yeah.
Closed questions can actually help you steer the conversation and get to the point.
Okay, so it's about managing the flow of information and keeping things on track.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other examples?
Yeah. I mean, closed questions can also be really helpful when you're talking to someone who's maybe really quiet or hesitant to speak freely.
Right.
Because it can feel less intimidating.
Yeah.
And it allows them to ease into the conversation.
So it's like a stepping stone to get them talking more.
Exactly.
And then I imagine closed questions are also good for problem solving.
Totally.
Right.
They can help break down complex issues into smaller steps.
Okay.
So it's easier to analyze the situation.
Right.
And find solutions logically.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of question types.
Yeah.
The 3-step framework, situations where closed questions shine.
Right.
What else does Birkenbihl have in store for us?
Okay, so get this.
Okay.
She introduces this concept called argument suitcases.
Argument suitcases?
Yes.
I've never heard of that before.
It's brilliant.
All right, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay. So imagine this. You and the person you're talking to each have a suitcase.
Okay.
Filled with your arguments.
Okay.
And it's tempting to just fling open our suitcases.
Oh, yeah, I do this all the time.
And just bombard each other with our points.
Especially when I'm passionate about something.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, here's all my reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the key.
Okay.
Before you even open your suitcase, you need to understand what's in theirs.
Ooh. That's a good point.
It's about actively listening and understanding their perspective.
Right.
Before you even try to convince them of yours.
That's a brilliant analogy.
It is, right?
It really is. And I'm curious, does she have any examples in the book of how this argument suitcase concept?
Yeah, so there's this great story about a travel agent who was trying to sell a vacation package.
Okay.
But he kept pulling out all these arguments from his suitcase without even taking the time to understand what the client's needs and concerns were.
So he was just like, look at all these destinations, look at these deals. And it's like, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Right.
at all.
He never stopped to ask, like, what does the client actually want in a vacation?
Exactly. So he totally missed the mark.
Completely.
And probably lost the sale.
And he did. He lost the sale.
That's so frustrating.
It is.
When you think about all those times we've done that.
You know, me too.
Where we've just like launched into an explanation or a pitch without even considering the other person's perspective.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle.
Yes.
Without all the pieces.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And this brings us to another crucial point.
Okay.
Which is that it's not just about the information we gather. It's also about how we make the other person feel.
Ooh.
Birkenbihl calls this psychological logic.
Psychological logic.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some examples of how to make someone feel heard?
That's a great question.
And understood.
And that's something we'll definitely dive into.
Okay.
In the next part of our deep dive.
I'm ready.
It's all about creating that safe space where the other person feels comfortable really opening up and sharing their suitcase with you.
I love this.
I do too.
I'm so excited to hear more about this.
Me too.
Welcome back to our deep dive on the power of questions.
Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking about argument suitcases and how important it is to understand the other person's perspective.
Right.
But, you know, even with the best listening skills, I think we're all bound to encounter some resistance in our conversation.
Like disagreement.
Right.
It's just a natural part of communication.
Yeah.
But the good news is the book actually offers some really helpful techniques for how to navigate those moments gracefully.
Give it to me.
Okay. So one of the key ideas is recognizing what Birkenbihl calls the information no.
The information no. What is that?
So it's this type of no that isn't actually a flat-out rejection. It just means the person needs more information before they can, like, fully embrace your idea.
So they haven't necessarily decided against it?
Not at all.
Okay.
They just need some clarification.
So it seems like a lot of these information no's could be avoided altogether.
Fairly.
If we just ask the right questions.
Right, up front.
Up front, yeah.
It's like gathering intel.
Yes.
Before you, like, enter a negotiation.
Right.
Or make a pitch.
It's like that military strategy analogy again, like scoping out the landscape, anticipating obstacles.
Planning your approach.
Yes.
So smart.
And the book uses this great example of a salesperson who's trying to sell a new copier.
Right.
And they just walk right into a potential customer's office and start listing off all these features.
All the bells and whistles.
Right. And the customer's just hitting them with no, no, no.
Yeah. It's a classic case of prematurely opening your argument suitcase.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't take the time to understand what the customer actually needed or wanted.
If they had just paused for a second to ask a few questions, they might have realized that the customer was perfectly happy with their current copier.
Totally.
And avoided that whole uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, it's such a good reminder that sometimes the best way to move forward is to stop talking and start asking questions.
That's so good.
Right.
But it sounds like the book goes even deeper than just the content of our questions.
Yeah.
It also talks about the impact of language.
Yes.
Right? Like the actual words we choose to use.
Exactly.
And I think this is so fascinating because I've definitely noticed this in my own life.
Tell me about it.
So Birkenbihl points out that even the way we say no can really influence the direction of a conversation.
Totally.
And she has this great example about a seminar leader who, whenever a participant said no, would say Apfelkuchen.
Apfelkuchen.
Which is German for apple pie.
Apple pie.
Instead of acknowledging their no.
That's so funny.
And at first I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Why apple pie? Like, what's the point of that?
It seems so random.
Totally.
But there's actually a really clever strategy behind it.
Okay, tell me.
So the word Apfelkuchen was basically used as a playful replacement for both yes and no answers.
So it wasn't about the meaning of the word?
No.
Okay.
It was about, like, breaking people out of that habit of giving those simple one-word responses.
Right. So it's like saying, give me more
than
just a yes or no.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're really thinking.
I love that.
Right.
It encourages more thoughtful and precise communication.
And it also highlights the fact that language really matters.
It does.
The words we choose can have a huge impact on how a conversation unfolds.
Totally. And I've been trying to be more mindful of this myself.
Oh, really? How so?
Like, for example, instead of saying, don't you think this is a good idea?
Right.
which kind of has that built-in bias.
Yeah, it's leading.
It is.
Yeah.
I've been trying to say things like, what are your thoughts on this idea?
Right.
Which is more neutral.
Yes.
And open-ended.
Yeah, and less likely to put someone on the defensive.
Exactly.
Right.
It creates a much more inviting space.
Yeah.
For them to share their perspective.
It's fascinating how these subtle shifts in language can make such a difference.
It's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got information knows, Apfelkuchen.
Yeah.
Choosing our words carefully.
Right.
What else does Birkenbihl have for us?
Okay, so now she gets into like a series of exercises.
Okay.
Particularly role-playing games.
Fun.
That are designed to help you really put these questioning skills into practice.
Okay.
In real-world scenarios.
I like it.
And one of the most engaging ones is actually that vacation sale game we talked about earlier.
Oh!
Remember?
Yeah, when we were talking about the no avoidance strategy.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it actually plays a role in multiple stages of the framework.
How so?
So in the no avoidance strategy, it was all about using questions to uncover the client's needs and avoid that negative response.
Right.
But in this next stage, the game highlights a different aspect of questioning.
Okay, I'm curious.
So remember, the goal is to convince the client to book a specific vacation package.
Right.
But they have all these hidden needs that you have to uncover.
Through questions.
Through questions.
Okay.
And what's really interesting is that the book points out that the people who resort to monologues and just try to push their own agenda.
Like the travel agent with the argument suitcase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They fail miserably.
Of course they do.
Right.
Yeah.
The most successful salespeople are the ones who ask open-ended questions. They actively listen to the client's responses. And then they tailor their recommendations accordingly.
It's a beautiful illustration of how effective questioning isn't just about getting information.
No.
It's about building rapport.
Yeah.
Understanding, using questions to guide the conversation towards a mutually beneficial outcome.
Absolutely.
And this applies to so many areas of life, not just sales. Like whether you're negotiating a contract, resolving a conflict, or just trying to deepen a relationship.
All of it.
This vacation sale game really highlights the power of strategic questioning.
It really does.
In achieving your goals, but also honoring the other person's needs.
Absolutely.
It's making me realize I need to be so much more deliberate and thoughtful in my conversations.
Absolutely.
Instead of just reacting or launching into my own thoughts, I need to pause and think, what questions can I ask?
That's it.
To really understand the other person's perspective.
That's the key.
And that leads us to the final stage of Birkenbill's questioning framework, where she addresses what to do when you do encounter a no.
It's inevitable.
Right.
It's going to happen.
Because no matter how skilled we become at asking questions,
you're going to hear no sometimes.
We're going to get a no.
Yeah.
So she calls this the no-loss negotiation method.
Ooh, I like that.
And I'm really curious to hear about this because, like we said, no is inevitable.
It is.
So what do we do when that happens?
Okay, so Birkenbihl emphasizes that even a no can be transformed into a win.
Really?
If you approach it strategically.
Okay.
And she illustrates this with another one of those really simple but powerful examples.
I love those.
Right.
Hit me with it.
Okay, so imagine a child asking their mom for ice cream.
Right. A classic.
I know, right?
It's so good.
So the mom initially says no, but the child doesn't just accept defeat. They persist.
All right. How do they do that?
By asking, why not?
Okay.
To understand the reasoning behind the no, and then they propose a solution.
Okay.
What if I eat all my lunch nicely afterwards?
So smart.
Right.
These kids, they know what they're doing.
They do. Yeah. So it's not about taking the no personally or giving up. It's about understanding the concerns.
Yeah.
And then finding a creative solution.
Such a good reminder.
It is.
And Birkenbihl explains that this seemingly childlike approach can actually be adapted for more complex situations.
Okay.
Like in professional settings.
Right. So instead of getting discouraged by a no, we should see it as an opportunity.
Yes.
To understand and maybe even find a solution.
That works for everyone.
I love that.
Right.
It's like shifting our mindset from no as a dead end to no as a starting point for a more productive conversation.
Exactly.
Okay. But how do we actually do this?
Okay, so Birkenbihl introduces this really cool question called the Angenomen question.
Angenomen question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which basically translates to assuming or what if.
Okay.
And it's a way to acknowledge the no.
But at the same time, open the door for further discussion.
So it's like saying, okay, I hear your concerns, but assuming this were the case, what if we tried this instead?
Exactly.
So you're not dismissing their initial no.
No.
You're just proposing alternatives.
Right.
It's so powerful.
And it shows respect for their perspective.
Right.
You're not just trying to push your own agenda. You're genuinely trying to find a solution that works for both of you.
This Angenomen question.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too.
It's like a game changer.
It is.
For those moments when conversations hit a snag.
Right.
But I imagine like any new skill, it takes practice.
It does.
To use it effectively.
Absolutely.
Does Birkenbihl offer any other insights to help us solidify our understanding of these questioning techniques?
And we'll be diving into those
in
the final part of our deep dive.
Perfect. Welcome back to our deep dive into the art of asking questions. We've been exploring Vera F. Birkenbill's questioning techniques, Quickly Trained, and we've uncovered so many amazing insights and strategies to help us become more skillful communicators.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. We've covered a lot of ground, from understanding the different question types to mastering the art of that no-loss negotiation method.
Right. And now as we wrap up our deep dive, Birkenbihl offers some really powerful reflections to help us actually integrate all of these techniques into our everyday lives.
I'm all ears. What does she emphasize as we sort of bring this exploration to a close?
One of the most important points she makes is that questioning is more than just a technique.
Right.
It's a mindset.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a sense of curiosity and a genuine desire to understand the world around us.
I love that. So it's not just about memorizing a bunch of questions or strategies. It's about approaching conversations with a sense of openness, a willingness to learn.
Exactly. And this shift in mindset can have such a profound impact on our lives, from our relationships to our work. When we embrace this questioning mindset, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and deeper connections.
It makes you think about how often we go through life on autopilot, just accepting things at face value without really questioning them.
Right.
Or exploring. And I'm realizing that if we adopt this questioning mindset, it could lead to a much richer experience of life.
Totally. And Birkenbihl also highlights the importance of practice when it comes to mastering these techniques. The more we use them, the more natural they become.
Like working out our questioning muscles.
Yes, we've got to put in the reps to build up that strength. And the book actually offers some really fun ways to practice.
I'm always up for some fun.
Like earlier, we talked about the man in the elevator riddle and how it helped us learn to question our assumptions.
Right.
Well, she actually has a whole section of these riddle stories to help us sharpen our questioning skills.
Give me an example.
Okay, so there's this one about a man who's found dead in a field.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
If he'd been able to open the package he was carrying, he wouldn't died it.
Ooh, that's good. Okay, what was in the package?
It was the parachute.
Uh-huh.
His ripcord got tangled.
Ooh.
Right?
Wow.
So these riddles force us to think critically and ask the right questions.
I love that, and it makes it fun.
Yeah, exactly. It takes the pressure off. And she also emphasizes that these skills aren't just for like work or professional settings. They can totally transform our personal lives too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like imagine having deeper, more meaningful conversations with your loved ones.
Right.
Because you're asking thoughtful questions and really listening to their responses.
Instead of just skimming the surface.
Yeah, you can actually use these techniques to connect on a much deeper level.
It's like turning those everyday conversations into opportunities for growth and discovery.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so we've talked about mindset, the importance of practice using games, the applications in both professional and personal life. As we wrap up our deep dive into questioning techniques quickly trained, what's like the final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
I think Birkenbihl sums it up beautifully when she says that becoming a master questioner is an ongoing process. There's always more to learn, more to practice, and new ways to refine our skills. But the rewards are huge. Deeper connections, greater understanding, more fulfilling interactions. It's worth the effort.
Absolutely. I'm walking away from this deep dive with a whole new appreciation for the power of asking questions. It's not just about the questions themselves, it's about the curiosity, the intention, the desire to really connect.
Well said.
I encourage all of our listeners to check out this book, Fragetechnik Schnell Trainiert by Vera F. Birkenbihl. It's full of practical tips that can transform the way you communicate.
Yeah, it's so good.
And until next time, keep those questions coming and happy exploring.
See you next time on the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery. Until next time.
See you then.